So in this video, we're going to prove the sum and difference formula for sine. So the first one is sine of alpha plus beta is equal to the sine of alpha times the cosine of beta plus the, plus the cosine of alpha times the sine of beta. And then the sine of alpha minus beta is equal to the sine of alpha times the cosine of beta minus the cosine of alpha times the sine of beta. Okay? So how are we going to prove this? Well, let's use our identity that we found with the coterminal. I know that the sine of theta is equal to what? It's the cosine of pi over 2 minus theta. Okay? So if I do the sine, of alpha plus beta, this is equal to the cosine of pi over 2 minus alpha plus beta. Okay. So doing a little bit of algebra, this is equal to the cosine of pi over 2 minus alpha and then minus beta. Okay, now I have a difference formula for my cosine. I do the cosine of pi over 2 minus alpha times the cosine of beta. All right, plus the sine of pi over 2 minus alpha times the sine, the sine of beta. Okay. And then I need to use my coterminal identities. What do I know? This piece right here is the sine of alpha. So that's the sine of alpha. Okay, that becomes a sine of alpha. And then we have cosine beta plus. And now this piece right here, coterminal identity, this is the cosine of alpha. And then times the sine of beta there. Okay? And that establishes the first identity right here. Now for my second trick, I'm going to use the first one to help me out, kind of like I did in the other video for cosine. So the sine of alpha minus beta is equal to the sine of alpha plus a negative beta. And this is equal to the sine of alpha times the cosine of negative beta plus the cosine of alpha times the sine of negative beta. And what do I know? Since this is even, this becomes the sine of alpha cosine of beta. And since this is odd, that becomes the negative sine of beta. So that negative distributes, and I have the cosine of alpha sine beta. Negative and a positive making negative. Therefore, that completes the proof for that second part right there. Even and odd functions help me get those. So 2 more to put in your tool belt. All right, so we're racking them up. So let's do a couple examples. So using the sum formula to find the exact value, find the exact value of sine of 7 pi over 12. Okay, we go back to, what do we know? We know how to get 0. That was not too useful. We know pi over 6, pi over 4, pi over 3, pi over 2, and pi. Now, denominator is 12 here, so I'm going to convert all these to have a denominator of 12. So that's 2 pi over 12, 3 pi over 12, 4 pi over 12, 6 pi over 12, and 12 pi over 12. Okay, so how can I get 7 pi over 12? Either adding or subtracting. Well, 7 I can get from 3 and 4, so I'm going to use those. So this is going to be the sine of 7 pi over 12 equals the sine of 3 pi over 12 plus 4 pi over 12. Okay, so this is equal to the sine of pi over 4 plus pi over 3. Okay, and if I use my sum rule for sine, that's sine pi over 4 cosine pi over 3 plus cosine pi over 4 sine pi over 3. Okay, so sine pi over 4 is 1 over square root 2, which I guess is square root 2 over 2 if you rationalize. Multiply cosine pi over 3 is 1/2 plus cosine pi over 4 is square root 2 over 2 times sine pi over 3 square root 3 over 2. Okay, multiply square root 2 over 4 plus square root 6 over 4 gets me 1/4 square root 2 plus square root 6. No biggie there. Okay. Let's do one more, make sure we got it. So for this example, we're going to find the exact value of, interesting, sine 80 degrees, cosine 20 degrees, minus cosine 80 degrees, sine 20 degrees. So this one's kind of working against you, okay? This one is basically, we're utilizing a formula, and then we're going to try to simplify it back into one trig function, and then see if we can't just get the answer, okay? So which one involves multiplying sines and cosines and then subtracting the multiplications of sines and cosines? That formula is the sine. It's the sine difference formula, okay? So if you think about it, the sine of alpha minus beta is the sine of alpha times the cosine of beta minus the cosine of alpha times the sine of beta. So what is this equal to? This is actually equal to the sine of 80 degrees minus 20 degrees. And why is this good for us? Because that's the sine of 60 degrees, which is what? That's equal to the sine of pi over 3, which is square root 3 over 2. Okay, so pretty nice for us here. All right. So hopefully you kind of see, the formula doesn't just work one way, but rather you need to understand both sides of the equation. Okay.